AMA United States Motocross Nationals, brought to you by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it.
Hello, I'm Larry Myers. Welcome to the 1991 AMA National Championship Motocross Series. Today we're going to bring you motocross action from Delmont, Pennsylvania. We'll have coverage of both the 125 and 500cc National Championship title chases. Before we get to that, though, let's go back in time to the round previous to this one in Binghamton, New York.
For the 125s, it was round 10 of 13 at Binghamton, New York. Mike Kiedrowski, rider number 4 aboard the green Kawasaki, was the series points leader. The closest competitor to Kiedrowski, rider number 1, that's Guy Cooper, aboard the Suzuki, the defending 125 national champ. It was not Cooper, however, it was a Suzuki that put the pressure on Kiedrowski. Instead, it was Mike LaRocco, rider number 6, out of LaPorte, Indiana. Watch this pass. LaRocco goes to the outside, kept the hammer on, and made the pass with no problem. Kiedrowski wisely shutting off. Championship at stake here. Kiedrowski has that thought in mind. LaRocco, on the other hand, is concerned only with winning races. He is not involved in the championship chase. LaRocco rode the 250 class earlier in the season. When that series ended, most of the riders in the class opted to ride 500s, but Suzuki does not have a 500. So LaRocco moved into the 125 to see what he could salvage the remainder of the year. He won the first moto going away. Mike Kiedrowski finished second. Guy Cooper was third. Moto number 2, it was Jeff Emig aboard the Yamaha that took the early lead. Right behind came Mike Kiedrowski. Eric Kehoe was a factor in the early going, but it soon boiled down to a Mike Kiedrowski, Jeff Emig duel with Mike LaRocco, rider number 6, coming on strong in the late stages of the moto. With that pass, Mike LaRocco moved into the number 2 position. With that crash, Mike LaRocco moved into the number 1 position. Kiedrowski was quickly up, but the damage was done. LaRocco went on to win the moto. Kiedrowski came back to salvage the number 2 position with Jeff Emig third. In the 500 class, it was Jeff Ward in the early going, the veteran, rider number 1 aboard the Kawasaki, and the defending 500cc national champ got his challenge from Damon Bradshaw on the air-cooled Yamaha. Here Bradshaw did everything right, found an inside line, found his way past Jeff Ward, and for all practical purposes, moto number 1 was over. There's Jean-Michel Bale. He found himself on the ground, picked himself up, got back into it, and would salvage the 3rd place in moto number 1. Damon Bradshaw went on to take the win, followed by Jeff Ward in the number 2 position, and Jean-Michel Bale third. Moto number 2, and the veteran 30-year-old Jeff Ward showed the kids once more how to get into corner number 1 and out of it with the lead. Once again, though, it would be a lead that was short-lived. Here comes Jeff Stanton, rider number 2. Jean-Michel Bale is not far behind, and neither at that point was Damon Bradshaw. However, Bradshaw got caught up in this melee in that second corner, and he would start out dead last in moto number 2. It turned out to be an all-Honda affair with Jean-Michel Bale chasing and passing Jeff Stanton. There's the pass. Bale goes to the inside, gets a good line through the next corner, and is able to hold off Jeff Stanton, takes over the number 1 spot. That's the way they would finish. Jean-Michel Bale, the winner. He'll take the overall win for the day with moto finishes of 3 and 1. Stanton finished in the number 2 position. In that moto, Jeff Ward held on to finish 3rd to take 2nd overall for the day. So with 3 races to be run, Mike Kiedrowski is on top of the leaderboard in the 125 class. He has 400 points. His closest challenger, Guy Cooper, the defending champ, 351. In the 500 class is Jean-Michel Bale, 140 over Stanton with 126. And we'll be right back. Welcome back to National Championship Motocross, sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association, produced for your pleasure by Power Sports Video. The track here at Delmont, Pennsylvania, the subject of discussion in the pits, that's Team Suzuki telling each other how they're going to attack the various obstacles. Meanwhile, from high atop the Kawasaki truck, Mike Kiedrowski looks the situation over. Let's go to Bob Hurricane Hanna, who is in the pits, for a close-up view.
Thank you, Larry. Delmont, Pennsylvania, a great riders track and a great spectators track. One of the great riders here with us today, Jeff Stanton. Jeff, it's an overcast day. The track looks good, and you're looking good. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I feel real good, and like you say, the track's awesome. We have a really good overcast day. Makes for some really good race and not much dust, and real good traction out there today.
If it rains a little bit, be your advantage.
I believe so. Back from Michigan, riding in the mud a lot. The mud doesn't bother me at all.
Thinking about last year at all, the crash in the second moto, you don't remember it still to this day?
No, I don't remember it, and no, that's behind me. I can't cry about spilt milk. It cost me the 500 championship last year, but you know, that's over. Just look forward to having a good race here today.
Well, I'm sure Jeff and the other riders will be riding great today, and back to you, Larry.
Thank you, Bob. That was Jeff Stanton, currently in second place in the 500cc National Championship standings. Team Suzuki still trying to figure this track out. Bob Hanna earlier today had a talk with one of the Suzuki riders. Let's hear what he had to say.
Guy Cooper, I don't know if this is one of your favorite tracks. Last year you had a mishap in the first moto, land on a rock, break the transmission, but the second moto turned out good for you and you won that. What's it looking this year for you?
Well, I do like the track. It just hasn't been the best for me. Today's weather looks good. The track is prepped really nice, and it's similar to last year. And so we have a case guard on the bike, and we're ready to go.
The competition this year, is it giving you a little more trouble than last year, or about the same?
Well, Mike Kudrowski's come on strong this year, and he's pulling quite a few points ahead of me. But it's not over yet. We've got 3 more races and 49 points to make up. So we'll give it 100% and try to make up as many points as I can today.
Maybe that Kawasaki landing on a rock like you did last year certainly would help.
Well, I don't want to wish any bad luck on somebody, but if it happens to be a bad luck to someone, it'd be better him than me.
All right, good luck, Guy.
Thanks, Bob.
Better him than me. Where have you heard that before? Let's take a look at some of the riders on the line, set to go. There's Mike Kudrowski, rider number 4. He's the points leader aboard the Kawasaki. Mike LaRocco in the center of your screen. There's Jeremy McGrath, number 125. Jeff Emig, rider number 18 on the Yamaha. There's Guy Cooper, the defending 125 national champ. He's about to lose that championship unless something drastic happens in the final 3 races of the 125 series. The gate is down, the 125 class, and that uphill start. They'll take a left-hander at the top of the hill, and it is underway. A pileup in the first corner. Several riders down. Looks like they're all up and away. No injuries. Mike Kudrowski pulls the early hole shot, and he's being chased by Guy Cooper. Kudrowski, rider number 4 out of Canyon Country, California. Cooper out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. And Jeff Emig holding down the number 3 position in the early going of moto number 1 of the 125 class. Behind the front 3, it's hard to pick them out from here, but Jeremy McGrath aboard the Pro Circuit Peak antifreeze Honda is running in the number 4 position. Then comes Eric Kehoe. He's rider number 33. Talon Volan aboard a Suzuki, number 19. Then comes Larry Ward, rider number 10. Mike LaRocco also on a Suzuki. Mike Brown holding down one of the top 10 spots, as is Brian Swink. The track here in Delmont, Pennsylvania, Steel City, USA, is carved out of a big bowl. The riders traverse the bottom portions. They go up the sides, up on top, drop back down again. It's an excellent spectator track. Just about anywhere you gain your vantage point, you're going to see about 75–80% of the action on the racetrack. And right now, in this first 125 moto, there is plenty of it. Mike Kudrowski, rider number 4, being hounded by Guy Cooper. Right behind Cooper comes Jeff Emig, and behind Emig, Jeremy McGrath. Eric Kehoe, rider number 33, just coming into the screen, was the winner of the inaugural 125 event here at Steel City, USA in 1988. In 1989, Jeff Matasevich was the 125 class winner, and in 1990, it was Mike Kudrowski. And from the looks of things in the early going here in 1991, it would appear that Mike Kudrowski has every intention of putting together back-to-back Steel City wins. If Cooper, however, is able to get close to Kudrowski, it should be interesting to see how Kudrowski will play it. I would have to think that Kudrowski is thinking in terms of the championship. He really can't afford to get into a one-on-one battle with Cooper and risk some kind of a knockdown that could take him out of a moto completely, or worse, suffer some kind of an injury that would put him out for the season. The smart thing to do, and Cooper is getting close right now, the smart thing to do if Cooper is able to get the wheel in, possibly for Kudrowski, would be to back off and let Cooper go and take the second place points. However, Mike Kudrowski is not made that way. Most champions aren't. When they're on a racetrack, they only think of one thing. That's the checkered flag that's waiting for them at the end. And they really throw their championship hopes, for the most part, aside for the few minutes that they're out there. And all they can think about is driving on to victory. Cooper, on the other hand, really has no choice in the matter. What he has to do is to pass Mike Kiedrowski. He has to beat Mike Kiedrowski in order to gain points. There's no two ways about that. Heading into this Steel City event with just 6 motos to go, 2 here. There will be 2 in Maryland at Budds Creek, and the final 2 at the season finale at Unadilla, New York. So that's 6 motos remaining. Guy Cooper is 49 points down at this point. Meanwhile, behind the leaders, here's a battle for the number 4 position. Mike LaRocco has moved up to challenge, and did he make the pass? He did. He made the pass over Talon Volan. Pair of Suzuki riders. Mike LaRocco takes over the number 4 slot. Volan dropping back to 5th. There's Jeremy McGrath in 6th. Eric Kehoe is running into number 7 position. Then comes Larry Ward, Brian Swink, Doug Henry rounding out the top 10. With only 3 rounds remaining, there are not too many opportunities left to impress potential sponsors. Now, that's one of the reasons why racing at the tail end of the season seems to pick up and seems to be a little bit more intense. They're all looking for 1992 contracts, whether they be full-blown factory rides or support rides. They're all looking for that little bit of an edge that might tell a potential sponsor that, hey, I'm the guy that you need for 1992. At the front of the pack, Mike Kiedrowski continues to hold down the number 1 position, being pursued by Guy Cooper. That's the championship battle right there. Kiedrowski with a points lead. Cooper trying to cut into it. Behind them, Mike LaRocco still holding down that number 4 position with Emig right in front of him. LaRocco has not been able to gain on Emig. He's had that distance between the 2 of them, about 5 or 6 bike lengths for the past couple of laps. And if you look right behind LaRocco, there's Talon Volan. Since passing Volan, he's not been able to pull away. LaRocco has not been able to pull away from Volan. Volan just picked up the pace and went right along with Mike LaRocco. Often that will happen. A rider thinks he's going just about as fast as he can possibly go on a track until someone passes him, shows him a couple of new lines, and then he's able to pick it up. There goes LaRocco to the inside. Will he make it stick? And LaRocco takes over the number 3 positions. He passed Emig. Emig went wide in that corner. I don't know if Emig made a mistake there or if that's the line that he's been using. In any event, Mike LaRocco has taken over the number 3 position. The battle up front continues. It's still Kiedrowski and Cooper, and Cooper pulled alongside Kiedrowski but had to back out of it. There was no place to go when they got to that corner. The good line was taken by Mike Kiedrowski. Cooper had an opportunity maybe to stick the wheel in and force some kind of a pass. And now Mike LaRocco looking down at his motorcycle. LaRocco moving at a snail's pace on the racetrack. Some kind of a problem. Can't tell what it is from here, but he is definitely out of this one. In fact, he's being lapped now. There, Kiedrowski went around him. He should flash into the screen. There he is. There's LaRocco, and Guy Cooper has gone around him. And whatever the problem is, he is way at the back of the pack. This is the last lap. Kiedrowski is headed for the checkered flag. He'll win moto number 1. Guy Cooper will finish in the number 2 position, and Eric Kehoe will come home in the number 3 spot. And Larry Ward comes all the way up to 4th, with Jeff Emig dropping back to 5th. So Mike Kiedrowski extends his points lead over Guy Cooper, and we'll be back with more motocross action right after this. Welcome back to National Championship Motocross. Coming up, 500cc action. Before we get to that, though, let's go down to the pits where Bob Hanna is talking to Jean-Michel Bayle about road racing.
Yeah, you know, it's a very big difference between road racing and motocross. The speed is different. And if you crash, you get a big crash. So first I was a little bit scared, but you know, after a little while, you can learn to slide and learn to be to slide with the bike and to be make the same thing with the bike than in motocross. So it's getting to be fun now, and I hope everything gonna be ready for the team in '93.
Ron Lachine, we haven't seen a lot of you in the last 2 years. This is a bad memories for you riding at this place. A couple of years ago, you broke your leg here. You've making a comeback now. You're looking pretty good. Are you feeling all right today?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I'm happy to come back out here and ride over the same jump that took me out, and it's a neat feeling to go over it and successfully make it now.
Any nervousness over those jumps?
A little bit, I just really got to concentrate hard down there and really keep my mind on the track. It's really an off-speed track. There's some fast sections, and then there's some technical spots also, so really got to wash it out there.
I like this track a lot. It suits my style, and unfortunately, the past years I came in here in first place, and this time I'm in third, so it's not where I'd like to be, but this race has always been a turnaround point for me. The last 2 years, I pulled my points lead out here, and made the last 2 races real nice, but this year it's a lot tougher with Bale running real strong and Stanton stronger than usual. So it's going to be real important to close out the points here.
A couple moto wins here certainly couldn't hurt, though.
Not at all. It's going to be good for the confidence. I know I can do it, and I'm looking forward to doing it.
I feel really good. You know, I went out and practiced. The bike seemed to be working really good. We made some changes last week, and, you know, we're getting better and better. I'm getting more familiar with the bike, more comfortable, so I think it's my time to win one.
Damon Bradshaw is obviously not the only rider that feels it's his time to win one. Ron Lachine, rider number 100. That's Jeff Stanton, number 2, the defending champ. As Jeff Ward, rider number 1. A look at the rest of the riders as we pan down the start line as this 500cc moto at Delmont, Pennsylvania, just about set to get underway. The gate drops, and here they go. Headed toward corner number 1, it's the veteran Jeff Ward on the inside, and a pile up in the corner. A couple of riders go down, a couple of the back markers. They're not hurt. It's Ward out front. There's Jeff Stanton holding second. Damon Bradshaw in a number 3 position. There's Ron Lachine, rider number 100. He's in 4th. Jean-Michel Bale holding down the number 5 spot. And Bale looking to make a pass in the early going. He had a wheel on the inside of Lachine. He puts it there again. And Lachine stands upright, hits the brake slightly, and Bale goes on by. Bale takes over the number 4 position, dropping Lachine back to 5th. Jean-Michel Bale, by 14 points, leads the 500cc National Championship standings coming into this Delmont race. Bale looking, of course, to add to that points lead, but Bale is one of the craftiest, one of the smartest riders in the world today. Not only that, he's one of the best in the world today. I think that we would be neglectful if we did not point that out. He knows, though, what he needs to do to win the championship, and despite his claims that his goal in coming to the United States was to win the Supercross title, and the rest of them are not that important to him, well, don't believe it. He wants this title just as bad as anyone. And now he's pushing Damon Bradshaw for the number 3 position. Bale in 4th, Bradshaw in 3rd. Look at Bale, how smooth and relaxed he is as he rides this Delmont, Pennsylvania track. Out front, though, the veteran and defending champion in the 500cc class, Jeff Ward. For the past 2 years, he has owned this Delmont racetrack. He's taken the overall victory here. 1990 he did it, and again in 1989. If we go back to the inaugural year, 1988, Rick Johnson was the winner in the 500 class. Now Bale moves to the inside of Damon Bradshaw. He's got the good line. Bradshaw went way wide. I don't know if Bale pushed him out there or if Bradshaw went there by choice. In any event, it was not the place to be in that particular corner. Bale has taken over 3rd, now sets his sights on his teammate, Jeff Stanton, rider number 2. Out front, it's still Ward, then Stanton, Jean-Michel Bale, then Damon Bradshaw in 4th. Ward is looking about as good as you could look. And we'll be back with more motocross action right after this. We've mentioned a couple of times that Jeff Stanton is chasing Jean-Michel Bale for that title, but have been neglectful possibly and not mentioning that Jeff Ward is just 1 point off the pace of Jeff Stanton. And here goes Bale to the inside of his teammate. And Bale looking for running room. Stanton doesn't want to let him by. He has no choice. Jean-Michel Bale, with a masterful move, takes over the number 2 position. He'll now set his sights on Jeff Ward. Bale has been by far the dominant force in American motocross in 1991, and I think we can safely say that, well, if you're dominant in the United States, that's as good as saying that you're dominant in the world. I don't think there's any question that Jean-Michel Bale is the world's number 1 motocrosser. Let's take another look at that pass, and you'll see what I mean. Bale just goes to the inside almost effortlessly, just keeps the gas on, goes back to the outside of Stanton to take over the number 2 position. He makes it look so easy, the Frenchman, 2 times a world champ. Now Jeff Ward, if he looks over his shoulder, is going to see that number 8 on the front of Jean-Michel's motorcycle. I think Ward probably has been looking for it the entire moto. When a guy wins as regularly as Bale has done this season, then the competition starts looking for him no matter where they are on the racetrack. There is always that thought after watching him come from off the pace and make the passes and take the wins. There's always that thought. Is he coming? How far back is he? Will he get me before the race is over? If you talk to the riders, they're going to say, no, I don't think about that. But in the back of their minds, it has to be there. In addition to the 2 world titles that Bale has captured in his career, in 1991 here in the United States, he has captured a pair of U.S. national titles. Of course, the Supercross crown. That's the one that Jean-Michel Bayle wanted more than anything. Said that was his dream as he was racing mini bikes in France many, many years ago. He realized that dream, then came back and won the 250cc National Championship, and now has a leg up on the rest of the riders to capturing his third title of the year in this 500 class. No rider in the history of American motocross has ever won. And look at that. He shot to the inside, and I don't think Ward even knew he was there. Made the pass. Ward got on the gas and came right back on top of him. He's not giving up, and now Ward with a good line. Bayle goes around the outside, and Bayle establishes himself as the leader in moto number 1 in this 500 class. Jean-Michel Bayle, and that was incredible. Simply incredible. I said Ward didn't know he was there, or probably didn't know he was there. What I meant was Ward, I don't think, was expecting a pass at that particular part of the racetrack. Let's go back and take another look. Here's Jeff Ward holding on to that number 1 spot. Now look at this. Look at that. Bayle just shot to the inside and crossed over in the front of Ward and kept the gas on. Ward was able to get a good drive and a good line on the inside, but he simply couldn't hold it. Bayle, with the adrenaline flowing, takes over the number 1 position in the first moto of this 500 class. Jean-Michel Bayle has been the rider to beat all year long. He's the rider to beat out here today at Delmont, Pennsylvania. Jeff Ward's win streak, 2 in a row here in Pennsylvania, is in jeopardy. Would you look at the lead? And Bayle goes down. Now, there is a mistake that you don't see very often. Jean-Michel Bayle, all by himself, just evidently not thinking, or got a wheel crossed up in the rut. Maybe he had already counted that checkered flag, but Bayle went down, dropping back to the number 2 position. That puts Ward way out in front again, and Bayle is going to have to go to work all over. Whether or not there's time enough remaining in this moto to get the job done, well, we'll just have to wait and see. It's difficult to imagine just what put Jean-Michel Bayle down. There was no one near him. Let's go back and take another look, and maybe we can spot something. There he goes into the corner. Oh, it looks like it's kind of slippery, and he just gave it too much gas, and the rear end shot out from underneath him. In any event, Bayle back into second. Now, time is running out in this moto, but the Frenchman is well within striking distance. Barring any other unforeseen incident, the chase for the checkered flag is going to be between those 2 riders. It's Jeff Ward out front. Jean-Michel Bayle is running into number 2 position, well back behind him. Now, Jeff Stanton is still holding 3rd. Damon Bradshaw is running 4th. But all eyes are up front on the battle for the number 1 position. Jeff Ward, the veteran, 30 years of age, is holding down that number 1 slot. And Jean-Michel Bayle now goes to the inside. Ward knows he's there. All he had to do was look down, and he saw the front wheel of Bayle. He grabbed a handful and pulled back out in front. Ward through the good line of the racetrack. Bayle keeps pace where there was no line. Jean-Michel Bayle, unbelievable bit of riding. Now, Bayle is setting him up. He's looking for a place on the racetrack where he feels that he can. Look at that. Bayle went from the outside, dove underneath Jeff Ward to regain the number 1 position. He was in that spot earlier and fell. He's got it back. I don't think you'll see him make that same mistake twice. You have to wonder what runs through the minds of the riders that he passes that way. Jeff Ward, Jeff Stanton, Damon Bradshaw. They're some of the tops in the world. And Jean-Michel Bayle seems to find ways to get around them. He invents the ways to get around them. They're in the good lines. They're blocking him. They've tried just about everything that can be tried to keep Bayle back there, but none of it has worked. It hasn't worked the entire season. Bayle has won from off the pace. Bayle has won taking the whole shot. He's won after he has crashed and fallen way back. He's picked himself up and charged and taken the checkered flag. Bayle has simply put himself in a position of being the number 1 motocrosser in the world today. No question about that. Jean-Michel Bayle. In the process, of course, in all of that passing, Bayle is going to add to his points lead in this 500cc class. He took a quick look over his shoulder to see where Jeff Ward was on the racetrack as he heads for the checkered flag. Bayle with a fist up in the air cast another look back, and Ward just wants to go back to the pit. He pays absolutely no attention to Bayle, no acknowledgement whatsoever. I'd have to say that his spirit at this point in time is a little bit on the downside. We'll be back with more right after this.
Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. You've been watching AMA National Championship Motocross, and there is still a lot more to come. Before we get to it, though, let's go inside motocross with retired champion Bob Hurricane Hanna.
Hello, I'm Bob Hurricane Hanna, and welcome to Inside Motocross. Motocross racing is said to be one of the most physically demanding sports in the world. And because of this, it's probably why we have so much specialized safety gear. Today, to talk with us a little bit about this gear today is Scott USA's Vivo Forte. Vivo, since 1968, I believe when you won the Virginia State Championship, a lot of this gear's changed.
Yeah, Bob, back in '68, pair of blue jeans and a sweatshirt and a helmet and a pair of goggles, and that's all you needed.
You're about dressed to go racing right now, huh?
Yeah, back then I was probably pretty stylish.
Being a goggle expert, how about let's start off with a pair of these goggles. I remember when I first started riding, I didn't even wear a pair of goggles, and when I did, they were probably so uncomfortable that I had them on as little of the day as possible. Could you go over a little bit of these goggles and tell us the new hottest setup?
Well, in 15 years or so, we've enclosed the goggle with foam so dirt and dust can't get in. We've added a new tear-off system. Back then, they didn't even have tear-offs. A tear-off is a part of the goggle when you get hit with a roost, which is dirt coming at your face. You just pull this, and the next tear-off comes up. This gives you perfect vision. It clears off the lens and gives you clean vision. Since then, we have wider straps that hold the goggle in place. We have hydrophilic foam, which is softer and absorbs lots of sweat. And we have silicone in the strap that also keeps your goggles secure on your face.
The helmets that we used to wear obviously didn't have this full coverage system on here.
Now everyone uses a full face helmet, which gives you more protection on your face. You got a vent system here, which acts as a cooling system for your helmet that keeps you from overheating.
The padding system, all removable so you can wash it out, and it seems quite a bit more sturdy than 15 years ago. How about new pants nowadays and knee cups? A lot more color than the old days.
Well, back in the early days of motocross, you basically had rawhide and leather, and now you have this nylon. It's also fire resistant.
Obviously, knee cups for the pants and hip pads. Some more protection, Beef. About the chest protection.
Well, this is basically is supposed to keep the rocks from putting these big indentations into your chest, but and also there's also adapters on here that protect your shoulders. And once again, you can see ventilation is a very important part of everything in motocross.
Nowadays, knee cups, or you would say knee brace. The old days, we never even thought of these. We had a bad knee, we took that weekend off. Now most of the top guys wearing these knee braces, Beef.
Well, I think back in the early days of motocross, a knee brace was 2 pieces of rubber band and a piece of gauze. Now it's they not only use these after an injury, they use it before an injury. This helps protect your knee from getting injured.
All carbon fiber, and again, very light and cooling.
Yeah, being light is just as important as the ventilation, because you know you're working hard to keep the weight down on your motorcycle, so you're not going to put on 75 pounds of equipment. So the weight and the ventilation is very important.
New boots. A little bit better than the Pullman boots we wore, and you wore the lace-up pole boots.
Yeah, there's all kinds of features on here. As you can see, there's a metal plate here to protect your shin from rocks. If you took this boot apart, you'd find that there's metal pieces in here to protect you over the jumps, because they do sail 60, 70 feet in the air, and when you come down, it's a real impact on your ankles. So all of this stuff is incorporated in this boot to protect your ankles and your shins.
Plastic cups, inside and outside ankle.
Yeah, well, your ankle is always, your foot's moving like this, so it's always banging against the bike. So you have plastic inserts in here to also protect your ankle.
How about gloves? Did you ever wear these in the old days?
Well, I used to wear a pair of 39-cent cotton gloves. And now, as you can see, these are a little bit more than 39 cents, but then again, you got a lot more protection. You have padding on the back here to protect your back of your arms and the back of your hand and your knuckles from the roost, the rocks that are kicked back with you. If you've ever been on a 500 motorcycle, you'll know that they shoot these little cannonballs at you from the ground.
I've been hit with a few myself. It seems like a little different than when we rode. Head to toe, you're protected now. Give me a ballpark figure on what it would cost to outfit a guy in the 90s.
Oh, depending on the quality of the equipment, it could cost you anywhere from $600 to $1,000, depending if you have it all.
Well, sounds like a lot of money, but I think after you've seen what the riders go through out on the track, it'd be well worth it. Thanks a lot for talking to us about this, Bevo.
Hey, anytime, Bob.
Remember, whether you ride in competition or just for fun, everyone wants to wear the right safety equipment so he makes it to his next ride or race in good shape. I'm Bob Hanna, and we'll see you next time inside Motocross.
Thank you, Bob Hurricane Hanna, for that inside look at motocross. Still to come, a pair of motos, one each in the 125 and 500cc classes. We'll have that action for you when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back to National Championship Motocross, sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association. Already today, we have seen action in both the 125 and 500 classes. A pair of motos have been run. There are still two to go. This is the second moto on the line for the 125 class. In the opener, it was Mike Kidrowski. Guy Cooper finished second, and Eric Kehoe was third. We've learned that Mike LaRocco was the gate drops for moto number 2, who had been a factor in the first moto. Lost the swing arm. Actually, the axle came out of the swing arm for the rear wheel, and another pileup in the first corner. Again, all riders are up and okay. No damage done there, just a little disruption in the race action. We started to say that Mike LaRocco had lost the axle from his rear wheel. It simply slid out of the swing arm, and in Mike LaRocco's own words, that's all she wrote. He was done for the day, and he was definitely a factor, but finished all the way back in the number 38 position. Moto number 2 is underway with Mike Kidrowski out front. He won the first moto. Brian Swink running in the number 2 position. That's Denny Stevenson holding down the number 3 slot. Buddy Antonez, then Guy Cooper, Mike LaRocco, Jeff Emig right behind LaRocco. Guy Cooper, who was looking to pick up points on Mike Kidrowski, instead lost 3 more in that first moto. Kidrowski with a win took 25 points. Cooper, who finished in the number 2 position, gained 22. So instead of the 49-point margin that Cooper was facing as they came into Pennsylvania, the margin is now up to 52. And Kidrowski having some problems, and Brian Swink pulls alongside, and Swink makes the pass. Kidrowski came just about as close as you can come to crashing without actually going on your head. That motorcycle was completely perpendicular. Looks like he lost total control. He's back in control now as he settles in behind Brian Swink. Rider number 42 comes out of Fenton, Michigan, a member of the Pro Circuit Peak Antifreeze team. Swink earlier this year won the 125cc Eastern Supercross crown. Now, Kidrowski's having some kind of problem. His motorcycle wandering, it appears, to all over the racetrack, and the pack of riders behind him have gained considerably as Brian Swink is starting to pull away now from the rest of the field. Kidrowski definitely having some kind of problem with the Kawasaki. Can't tell whether it's handling, whether it's power. I'd have to say it's handling, just from the way the motorcycle seems to be wandering on the racetrack. Off that jump, Kidrowski looks behind him. Now he takes a wide line, and he's actually letting... He did indeed. He let Mike LaRocco go by him. He went way to the outside, just as if to say, there's a hole, go on through. So Kidrowski, it looks like he might have a flat tire. Now, that's the way the motorcycle would act if you had a flat, and my guess is that's Kidrowski's problem, a flat rear tire. Brian Swink, Mike LaRocco, they really don't care at this point. They're thankful for whatever break that they could possibly get, and Mike Kidrowski has given them one. Mike LaRocco sets his sights now on Brian Swink, and Guy Cooper is trying to take the measure of Mike Kidrowski. Kidrowski will hang in there, and he will fight just as long as he possibly can to keep from losing points to Guy Cooper. 52 points is the point margin, as we said just a second ago, but in Mike Kidrowski's eyes, I'm sure that's not enough, and Guy Cooper makes the pass virtually uncontested. You could bet that Kidrowski is having some kind of problem, and I'll stick with a flat tire till we find out different. Now, what Kidrowski will try to do is to hang in there and finish as close to the front as he possibly can. What he wants to avoid is losing wholesale quantities of points. If he were to drop out of the moto, for example, and Guy Cooper went on to win the moto, that would be a shift of 25. And I don't think Kidrowski wants to face into that. He's worked so hard to build this point lead up, and he's going to do whatever he can to maintain as large of an advantage as he possibly can in this second moto. Brian Swink has company. It's Mike LaRocco out of LaPorte, Indiana. LaRocco threatened in moto number 1. The rear axle sliding out of the swing arm and bringing him to a rather abrupt halt. And he finished back in a number 38 position. Assuming that axle holds together, my guess is that he's going to probably wear Brian Swink down. Swink has a problem with his hand. He's had to ride injured for the past several races, and it begins to take effect after 2, 3, 4 laps. How long he is able to maintain that fast race pace is, of course, dependent upon how rough the racetrack is. And out here at Delmont, it's pretty rough after all of the practice that has gone on. There were amateur races here yesterday, and, of course, all of the pro motos that we have seen today through qualifying and up into this national championship event. Mike LaRocco seemingly content to follow Brian Swink and study his lines. He's looking for a place on the racetrack where he knows that he has a better line than Swink and where he can make a pass. You have to wonder if in the back of LaRocco's mind, if he's not thinking about moto number 1 after coming from off the pace, putting on an incredible charge and moving up to the head of the pack and having that malfunction with his equipment. You have to wonder if that is bugging him, if he thinks about that at all. Most riders will tell you that they don't, that once they're on the racetrack, all of those situations are something that happened to them earlier, and they're just gone. You can't think about them. If you do, they'll bug you, they'll bother you, and you won't ride as effectively. And it would appear that Mike LaRocco right now is about as effective as he can be. Some parts of the track, he's obviously faster than Swink. I think he knows that Brian Swink is probably going to tire. I think that most of the riders in the circuit are aware of that. Swink's hand will simply not allow him to hold on to the motorcycle throughout a full moto. And there goes LaRocco. He makes the pass, takes over the number 1 position. Now Brian Swink will hang in there, possibly try to get that position back. Frankly, I doubt that he'll be able to, though. Mike LaRocco, one of the toughest and best conditioned athletes on the circuit today, and once he gets hold of that number 1 spot, he's not about to give it up. So Swink is left to follow Mike LaRocco, salvage whatever he can out of this moto, finish as high up in the pecking order as he possibly can. If indeed he is tiring, I would look for Guy Cooper to be knocking at the rear door here anytime. And look at this, Mike Kidrowski at the side of the track. They're shaking their head no. That's what he wanted to avoid at all costs, dropping out of a moto, and that's exactly what is happening. They're making no move, no effort to get him back on the racetrack. He's going to lose a bundle of points in moto number 2 to Guy Cooper. Mike LaRocco puts it on cruise control. He can taste the wind in moto number 2. There's no team tactic involved here. You might expect LaRocco to move over and let Cooper take the win to gain the extra 3 points, but they're not doing that. LaRocco takes the win. Guy Cooper is going to finish in the number 2 position. Following Cooper home, it's going to be Jeff Emig in the number 3 slot. We'll be back with a 500cc final moto after this. Welcome back to National Championship Motocross at Delmont, Pennsylvania. Steel City, USA is the racetrack we were at today. 1 moto to go in the 500cc class. There's Jeff Ward, the defending champ. Next to him was Stanton, number 2. That's Ron Lachine, rider number 100. Broke his leg here a couple of years ago, now on the comeback trail. Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11, aboard the air-cooled Yamaha. The rest of the motorcycles out here being water-cooled. They've done a lot more development on the other 500cc bikes than they have the Yamahas over the past couple of years. That Yamaha still remains competitive. So why should you touch a good thing? If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's the way it goes. And the corner number 1 continues to plague riders as one more rider goes down. Jeff Ward, meanwhile, out front. He's not had a problem with that corner all day long. Running into number 2 position is Jeff Stanton. Bradshaw is up close to the front. Jean-Michel Bale is well back in the pack. He's cutting a mean swath as these riders are sorting themselves out here on lap number 1. And there's a crash. 2 riders that were fairly close to the front coming together on a downhill section. Both of them catapulting off into a ditch. That's Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11. And Mike Jones, rider number 79. Now, Bradshaw went all the way into the ditch with his motorcycle. Jones ended up on top of the ditch. He had to run down into the ditch to try to get his bike out of there. Hard to tell whose fault that might have been. The riders are a long way from our vantage point. Let's go back and take another look. There they are. You can see the two of them coming together, and it looked like maybe Jones cut across the front of Damon Bradshaw. In any event, they're both out of this one. They're going to be well back, running dead last as the rest of the field makes their way by them as they try to get up and out of that ditch. Meanwhile, out front is Jeff Ward, chased by Jeff Stanton. Now, in the early going of Moto number 1, Ward was the leader. He was caught by Bale. Bale fell. Ward took the lead back. A few laps later, Bale was able to catch and pass Jeff Ward one more time. And at that point in time, it looked like Jeff Ward's win streak of 2 in a row here at Delmont, Pennsylvania would be ended at just that. But now it appears that possibly Ward can sneak through and make it 3 in a row here at Delmont, Pennsylvania. Jeff Ward, I'm sure, though, is more interested in the championship points chase. He beat Jeff Stanton, rather, in that first moto, and that gave him control of the number 2 position in the standings. Now, they both lost points to Jean-Michel Bale, who won the moto. He picked up 25 points. Jeff Ward picked up 22, and Stanton 20. So they lost points in moto number 1, but they can get them back here in the second moto, plus some. It depends on how far Jean-Michel Bale is able to come working his way through the pack. Now, Bale is already up inside the top 10, and quite frankly, I see no reason why before the moto is over that he won't be up at least to the number 3, number 4 position. Jeff Ward, 7 times a national champion. He's won all of the championships on a Kawasaki. He's been with that team a good number of years. If you ask Jeff Ward, who is 30 years of age, his birthday incidentally celebrated at the Los Angeles Supercross. If you ask Jeff Ward how long he's going to continue, he'll just tell you, well, I don't know for sure. As long as I'm having fun, as long as I can win races, I'm going to hang in there. That was Fred Andrews in the number 4 slot. There's Ron Lechien in 5th, and already up to the number 6 position, rider number 8 is Jean-Michel Bale. There goes Bale switching lines. It looked like he was trying to put a move on Ron Lechien as they passed out of our sight. Jeff Stanton draws a little bit closer to Jeff Ward. Let's go back in the pack and wait for Jean-Michel Bale. There he is. He did make the pass, and now he's alongside Fred Andrews. Not for long. He goes to the inside, makes the pass, and now Jean-Michel Bale is up to the number 4 spot. It was just a couple of laps ago when I said there was no way that Jean-Michel Bale would challenge the pair of Jeffs for a supremacy here in Moto number 2. I think I'll reevaluate my thinking. Bale has done some pretty fantastic things on motorcycles this year, and possibly he has one more in store. Jeff Ward with a healthy lead now. Jeff Stanton sliding back slightly off the pace. Stanton out of sight of our camera, either making some kind of an error, or possibly Ward just found a little bit extra and dialed it on just a little bit harder. In any event, Jeff Ward is the man they're chasing in this second moto. He's on his way to an overall win if he can keep it upright and stay in that number 1 spot, and that would make it 3 in a row. Meanwhile, Jean-Michel Bale continues his charge toward the front. Let's watch. And just like that, Jean-Michel Bale has moved into 3rd. Bale started out the season, this 500cc championship season, with a pair of moto wins. He did that at Millville, Minnesota. On to Washougal. Bale finished 2nd overall. He won the first moto, finished 3rd in the second. That overall victory went to Jeff Ward. He finished 3rd in the first moto and won the second moto. At the 3rd race of the 500 series, it was Bale again with moto finishes of 3-1, and Jeff Ward finishing 2nd with moto finishes of 2-3. Right now, though, Ward looking to tie the series up with a pair of overall wins to match the 2 overall wins that Jean-Michel Bale has claimed. Damon Bradshaw back on the track, circulating at not 100%, I would have to say. Maybe that Yamaha got bent just a little bit when they took that off-track excursion. And there's Fred Andrews. Now, Fred's having his problems here in the second moto. No problems, though, for Jeff Ward as he heads for the finish line at Delmont, Pennsylvania. Ward raising his fist to acknowledge the cheers of the fans that are standing alongside the fence. Just another corner or so to go, and Ward will take the checkers. Here he comes, headed for the finish line, and Jeff Ward wins the second moto and overall honors for the day in the 500cc class. What an outstanding ride. There's Jeff Stanton, and right on his rear wheel, Jean-Michel Bale. They finished 2nd and 3rd. We'll be back with more right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to Delmont, Pennsylvania, where we've just wrapped up an exciting day of National Championship Motocross. In the 125 class, Guy Cooper was the overall winner, followed by Emick, Ward, Kehoe, and McGrath. In the 500 class, Jeff Ward was the overall winner, Jean-Michel Bale coming in second, followed by Stanton, Bowen, and Gene Newmack. With 2 rounds remaining, the championship chases in both the 125 and 500 class far from over. In the 125 competition, Mike Kiedrowski is on top with 425. Just 30 points back now is Guy Cooper with 395. Then comes Brian Swink, Jeff Emig, and Jeremy McGrath. A huge swing in that 125 competition out here today. In 500cc competition, it's all Jean-Michel Bale, 185. Jeff Ward has moved to second with 172. Then comes Jeff Stanton with 168. Damon Bradshaw is fourth. And rounding out the top 5 in 500 standings is Ron Lachine.
And with that, another day of AMA National Championship Motocross brought to you by Suzuki comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you, and that you'll tune in again right here on Prime Network as the Championship Series continues. Until next time, I'm Larry Myers.